A very good morning from wherever you're joining us this morning on Parenting Tuesday. My name is Salilimo. Welcome. And we are going to be having an interesting conversation today. A lot of learning to catch up with on this Parenting Tuesday. We'll be talking about, the journey of Down syndrome and advocacy. And with me in studio, I'm joined by two parents who are also advocates. Both are experts. So it's going to be a very rich conversation, So join me on this one. And if you want to be part of it, join us on 20316. That's our SMS line. 0786 316 316 is our WhatsApp line, and be part of this conversation for any questions, comments, or even compliments. Welcome to studio, lady and gentlemen, David and Eve. Please introduce yourself. I'll start with the lady.
All right. Thank you very much, Sally, for having me. My name is Eva Nabutuni Nyoike, and I'm a mother of a child with Down syndrome. She's 11 years old. And I'm also a special needs consultant.
Okay.
Yes.
Fantastic.
For ACON special tutorials. Yes.
Lovely.
Yeah.
David.
Thank you for having me on the show. My name is David Mbao. So first off, I'm a parent, just like Eva, to two lovely girls, Tumaini and Imani. So that's Tumaini is one with Down syndrome. So I am an inclusion disability advocate. Huge passion, flowing with what motivated from. I also double up as a farmer. So that's also what I do to try and put some coins in my pocket.
Okay.
So I'm happy to be here.
All right, Karibu Sana. And maybe I'll just start you off without you even taking a break. What is inclusion disability advocacy? What you do?
So inclusion advocacy is just in one line, I would say just mainstreaming the inclusion agenda.
Okay.
It's just putting it to the fore. Statistics show that the most marginalized individual is a person living with disability. So hence I saw that's why there's the biggest gap, and also me having walked that journey. So I found myself in advocacy. So advocacy is actually just mainstreaming that agenda, bringing it to the fore. All right, like it's definitely it's articulated in the Constitution.
Right.
But again, these are the most marginalized, so they'll be marginalized everywhere, even in the Constitution. So even when it comes to enacting whatever has been passed in the Constitution,
right,
it needs a voice. So it's just voicing and mainstreaming that agenda.
Okay.
When you talk about disability, it's a broad place. So you can break it down into physical disabilities and neurodiversity.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll dig deeper into it.
Yeah. Sure,
as we go on.
Eve, because we're talking, the conversation is around, Down syndrome. What is Down syndrome really?
Down syndrome is when a child is born with an extra chromosome on the 21st chromosome. So they have an extra one, and because of that extra chromosome, their features are different. Yeah, we call it trisomy
21.
Trisomy 21.
Yeah. So their features are different. They have a bit slanted eyes, and their ears are lower. Their nose string here is flat there, and there's an element of mild to moderate intellectual disabilities. So they have different physical features, and a lot of times if you see one child with Down syndrome, you see another one with Down syndrome, you think that they are related. They kind of look alike. That's why it's a syndrome. Yeah, so very lovely children, slow to learn. They are able to do a lot, but just because of their physical features, just as David has spoken, they're marginalized. They're actually set aside because they look different, they act different, they're slow to do stuff, yet they can do, given an opportunity to do that. Yeah, so they have issues also with their metabolism sometimes. Others are born with different health issues, but not all of them. But what we always say, they do have Down syndrome, but they're first children. Yeah, their
Yeah.
children first,
Yeah.
then they have a condition.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything about a child, they are that child. Then they have this extra little thing that God gave them that makes them different.
Right.
Yeah, but not bad. Yes. Yeah, but not bad. Different, but not bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lovely. Different, but not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
David, you know, just for our viewers, and probably there's a parent out there and they've just received news or diagnosis. What was your initial reaction when you found out that your daughter has this condition?
That takes me 15 years back.
Right.
Because my daughter is 15 years. That just, I mean, I will describe it in this. I will describe it and say it was a shocker for me. It was. I found myself getting very angry. I was confused. I felt very helpless. All these emotions were going on at the same time. It was a very low moment for me, and my wife, obviously. It's not a place I would wish anyone to find themselves in. But then again, no one is brought up being prepared to have a child with a special need. It's crazy in hindsight now, when I look back, and I'm like, you know what? I had no clue what Down syndrome was, until that day. And I'm like, you know what? I think this is some of the things that now I try to bring to the fore and try to prepare people, because again, when we talk about a disability, you can either get it through that way, or a disability in the one thing that really, really, really people have missed out is that a disability also can catch on with you during your lifetime. And statistics show that if you live long enough, I think it says like 70% of us will encounter disability. And especially towards the end part, if you live long enough, I mean, you'll definitely go through it. So it was a very trying time. I felt secluded. I was angry. I know it's hard to understand why anger, but that's what I felt. It's just later on that I came to understand that the anger came from feeling helpless, that I couldn't do anything for my child. And also, I must say, as a spiritual man, that I was so angry with God. Like why throw this at me? And not just me. First, why throw this at this innocent child? So it was a very hard place. You find yourself in a place where it's also lonely, because again, I didn't want anyone coming into my space. And I guess maybe, I don't know if it's part of being a man too. Even that thing of opening up, I think also being an African man. So even trying to reach out for help, I think it just compounded the depression that was there.
Wow. And because you're also a parent, with a child who has Down syndrome, how was it like for you?
All right. Mine was very interesting because as a family, we chose this child. So our child is adopted. So we chose, or rather she chose us. She's the one who chose this family to live with us. So my experience is a little bit different because it's one of joy. It's one of, because we chose, you see. It did not just happen on us. So we chose a child with Down syndrome, to parent a child with Down syndrome. We already had 4 other children, so she's our 5th one. And because of her circumstances, we decided to keep her in our family. And it has been a great joy. But she has made us really be able to understand what it is to be a parent of a child with special needs, and also be an effective listener, counselor to other parents with children like ours. Because as I mentioned earlier, I'm a special needs consultant. So my job has been teaching children with disabilities, working with the families, and that has been what my life has been about for the past 35 years until Malaika came to our lives, and that changed everything. So it was no longer mechanical, because before you're doing a job, it's your passion, it's your drive, but it is still removed. But God works in his own very amazing ways, that he had to find this child and bring this child to our home. And that changed everything, because now we are actually in the shoes of the parents. It's no longer 8 to 5, bye-bye, go home. It's 24/7. We're in it. We are with her as she's growing and having a lot of challenges. We were just discussing with David. When you talk about inclusion, what is inclusion? Inclusion means being included in everything, everywhere. Not just in school. When we say we brought our child to be included here, it's we want our child not just to be a physical body in a classroom, but a child who is also learning, playing, interacting, living, growing with typical children. That is inclusion. Inclusion in church. Not just because we've gone to church together and we sit there and she's not being ministered to, because people are not able to reach, to find different ways of teaching her the Word of God. It's also inclusion in Sunday school. When the teacher is teaching and they're doing all kinds of things, has she gotten the message? Is she included? Does she know God? Whose responsibility is it for our children with Down syndrome to get to know God? Apart from the parent, they're in school. They're out there in the churches. Inclusion in the playground, isn't it? Where they can be allowed to be who they are and not made fun at and not bullied and not pointed at and no whispering with each other. Inclusion, Is she able to go shopping and say, I want to buy this? Are they, is the rest of the community ready to receive her shillings because she looks different? Or will they look at her and wonder, huyu ametoka wapi? So inclusion is not just inclusion in school. It is everywhere and for everybody. Tomorrow she may want a job. Will the market, will the job market include her? Bring her and say, okay, fine, you're actually capable of X, Y, Z. You can sit here and work here. This is your space. Are we ready for that? So that's what we talk about, inclusion.
And Sally, if I may just throw in one line, just to add weight to that. In advocacy, we say that, inclusion, if you just want to understand it very well, is that you can invite someone to the party, but then you don't invite them to dance, So inclusion is actually the part where you invite them to dance, because you can invite them to the party, and then we say they're here. Then what?
It ends.
Do you involve them? Do you include them in everything you do? Are you dancing with them? So just in a nutshell.
But what are some of those things that you do to ensure that inclusion? Yes, you said it sounds to be very, very important. What are some of the things you've done, like for you personally, David, to ensure that your child is included or has been included in those different spaces?
Wow. That is what actually has earned me this advocacy title, because then I realized very quickly, very early in life, that I had to step in and make room for her, be the voice, like just, when she was like 3 years, and I've been very big on inclusion from day one, Integration, I say, is a journey, is halfway to get into inclusion. Because integration, just by the definition of the word, is just getting different pockets of whatever things there are together, and they remain in those pockets. But inclusion is not having the pockets at all, is including everything, is mixing it up. So from the get-go, I never wanted integration. I wanted my child to be included. So at 3 years, I tried out a new school. I tried out definitely a regular school, an inclusive school. They they purported to be.
Okay.
And I quickly realized that I have to step in. Why? Because my daughter was abused in that school. You know, she came home the second day, and she had marks on her cheek, and we thought it was just, you know, it's early childhood. Children, that's not something out of the box. But by the second day, she had more marks. So the third day, I had to go to school and find out. And I do not want to lie to you. I did not walk in there smiling.
As calm as you.
Yeah, I was not as calm as I was. So I walked in there, and the short of it is that we found out that the teacher had actually abused her physically, because the teacher didn't understand why she was the way she was. You know, and so she was pinching and really I could imagine how frustrated she was getting. And so I realized from the get-go I had to step in, and I had to be her voice. So I've had to go into places where I introduce her into and realize I have to go and make room for her. I have to make sure the environment is conducive for her. What do I mean by that? I need to make sure that first is whoever is dealing with her has the capacity to do so. Number two, I have to ensure that the environment around her is accessible. Okay, like she can easily engage with it. Okay, and also engage with the communication going on. Okay, and thirdly, I also had to ensure that whatever is also going on is relevant, and she's not just wasting time, just like Eva said. It's not just about letting them in. Is what difference are you actually making?
Right.
So I realized very quickly I have to go into every space she goes. I have to be the first person to go in and make room for her and keep on making sure that this thing is consistently being done. So those are some of the things I think as parents we don't have a choice to do. And as I started telling you that we all start, like most of us start from that low place. So it is crucial that we find a way out of that place as soon as we can, because in advocacy, again, I say that however many resources are being thrown at this child to try and mitigate, to try and help, to try and support, whether from government, from the private sector, from NGOs, from whoever, they all have to pass through a certain gate. And guess who that gatekeeper is? That's the parent.
The parent.
Because if they're not receptive to it, then it won't reach the child.
Right.
And you see how crucial it is for the parents to be
Absolutely.
to be in their right state. So I quickly realized that. So I've realized I have to go in, make room for her, and I've also realized that self-care is key.
Self-care is key, and I think we're going to come back with that because we have to take a very short break, but we'll be right back with much more on Down syndrome. Get to know, get to understand, get to learn, and engage us on 20316, our SMS line, and 0786 316 316 is our subline. If you have any questions, any queries, something you need to know, understand, please send in your concerns. We'll be right back after this short break.
I would like to give a personal testimony of Family TV. I remember when I was in late primary school and early high school, I used to have a friend of mine who used to tell me about certain preachers that would come on a TV station called TBN. And I think at that time, Family TV used to air some of the programs from TBN. And I knew big names. That is the time I heard about John Hagee. I heard about Bishop Thomas Dexter Jakes, T.D. Jakes, and many other preachers. And I began to listen to them and to follow them. And in as much as I was not born again, these people started having a great influence in my life. And the only reason why that happened is because Family TV was on air. I am here to encourage each and every one of us that we need to keep Jesus on the airwaves. The gospel is free, but someone else pays for it.
During our time when we were growing up, the only station we knew that had Christian content was Family Media. So I remember watching Joyce Meyer, example of Joel Austin, Prince Derrick. I remember Prince Derrick on some program on Family Media. This is a station that really grounded us. Let's see Jesus continue to be spread, especially in this dying world.
And I just want
to thank family media, because family media came into this country when there was no really Christian either radio station or TV station. And those that grew up during my time, it was the thing that kept us going, as we could listen to this wonderful music. I still remember a group that was called Out of Eden those days. Powerful, powerful music. So to a large extent, family media kept us grounded.
It's such an honor and a pleasure to have a platform such as this in a time when our world is so full of negative content and misleading content, where you have YouTube and social media telling you different things to go different directions. But it's so nice to have a place that is safe, a place that can provide to be an anchor in your life, where you get to build our Christian faith. And so that's why I'm so grateful to have a place like this, Family TV. So guys, let's keep watching Family TV. Bring your friends and your family.
To me, family represents hope. It represents hope, it represents purpose. And I know that that's something that the world needs, hope, purpose. And so your support will go a long way into extending God's hand to the people, locally, internationally. So support family media.
Welcome back to the show. I'm just here and trying to understand, David, that why would someone be so mean to a child like that, really, And I can see Eva really trying to, this is a very important conversation, really, not just for Down syndrome, but I think any other special child out there. And probably, Eva, you can tell us or speak to us about the importance of neuro diversity when it comes to educators, because this is school.
I think that's a very a good question. Thank you very much. But I'll just add a little bit to what David has just spoken. What you see there is a parent taking care of a VIP, a very important person. You will not find a typical a parent with a typical child going to the school, going to talk to the teachers. They will be there, yes, but not at the extent that parents with children with Down syndrome or parents with children with special needs have to take that extra mile. They have to go that extra mile. I always give the example of the president. If the president was to come here today, can you imagine how much preparation would need to be?
Right.
That's exactly what we do for our children. Our children are our presidents. They're our VIPs.
Wow.
So that's the journey that we go as parents.
Yes.
Now to go back to the teachers, I really, it is difficult, because I will share with you my journey with Malaika, just the way David shared, going to schools. We will go to schools. We ran a special school, and we have been doing it for the past millions of years. But we wanted Malaika to be in an inclusive school. So we wanted her to grow with other children. So we walked and went to very many schools, and we spoke to the schools. And each time they would probably say yes. Then the minute we come to school with Malaika for that day, they will see Malaika and they'll say, we don't take children like this. We don't take, and I'm glad they said children first, children like this, or we don't take this kind. You see? So it is really difficult for parents when we are looking for that inclusive school. Why do they not take children like this? It's because they're not equipped. They're not equipped with skills and knowledge to be able to understand that this is first a child, then the child needs education. But you're a teacher, educate the child. But the first thing is they don't have the skills to do that. So they don't even want to do it because they just feel we are not equipped to deal with children like this.
Probably even the training.
Yes, so it goes back to the training. So what kind of training are our teachers getting? In this day and age, the 21st century, are we talking about inclusive education? if we are talking about inclusive education strategies, are they being applied in the school? Those are the questions that we need to start addressing. The teacher training in the schools, in the colleges, must have a component of inclusive education. Yes, right now they are saying we have that, but the teachers who are being churned out are not being able to deal with these children. But it's just the recognition of, they do early childhood development, recognition that there is a bit of a deviation, there is a bit of a developmental delay.
Okay.
How now do we accommodate these children in our schools? Inclusion can never be successful if we do not equip the teachers.
Right.
In whatever level. But for now, for our country, Kenya, for inclusion to be effective, we have now to seriously go down to the ECD levels, equip those teachers so that our children can start from an early age interacting with one another, and this becomes what you can call the norm of the schools.
Okay.
That these children are everywhere. They need to be seen, but they're not being seen now because they're in special schools, they're in special places, but they need to be seen. How do we appreciate them if we don't see them?
Okay.
So they need to be seen. So teachers need to be trained on neurodiversities. They need to be equipped with skills, and they need to continuously have that teacher development so that they can understand our children and they can actually give them what they need.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You know, you've spoken about that early, you know, you start all those things early, the training, interventions and all that. What is the importance of that, David, before we talk about the self-care bit, the importance of early intervention programs for these children?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is like the most basic of foundations for a child developing.
Okay.
So like you had, because today we're talking about Down syndrome, and I mean Down syndrome is what I really know, right? So for Down syndrome, you had like one of the co-occurring conditions, which they call comorbidities, is intellectual disability.
Yeah.
So when you talk about intellectual disabilities, that is something that you really have to start off from very early if you need to catch on to whatever extent they can actually grow into. Okay, that's one of them. That needs to start there. If you miss some things there, it's going to be not hard. It's going to be impossible to get those foundations going. Another comorbidity is also comes with also their development. Okay. So they have low muscle tone. That's another comorbidity. So I mean, they're what is called floppy children when they're young, because the muscle tone is very, very low.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? So that means you need to engage a therapist, and that's a physical therapist. So clearly, I mean, that's not rocket science. You know, some of those things you need to start them off very early. And if you miss those steps and trying to correct some of those things early on, it's not just Down syndrome. I mean, many other, even just a person who's physically disabled, even if you broke your leg, you know, there's some things if you don't do after seeing the doctor and they tell you, then this is your process of healing, you need to start doing it right away. And if you skip that timing, then that is how crucial early intervention is. That is how crucial this ECD conversation is. And it's not just about education. You can see it's also about therapies. Okay, so I will tell any parent, waste no time. And you see, it just keeps bringing me back to you self-care. You need to be an empowered parent. You need to be sober and mentally stable for you to be able to do all these things. Because if you're not, and let's assume you're taking 4 or 5 years to get back on your feet as a parent, guess what that's doing to this time? I'm telling you, it's crucial. It's unreversible. It's
So
just crazy.
You know, probably if you can also talk about it, self-care. What do you do to just ensure that you're taking care of yourself emotionally, mentally?
Oh, it can be really, I think even as they grow older. When they're younger, actually, it's a little bit easier, but as they grow old emotionally, as they grow older, it gets a bit tougher because then first they realize that they're different. Yeah. Second, you see their emotional waves, because as they're getting into pre-adolescence, they already appreciate that they are different. You see them lose friends, you see them relatives growing and leaving them at a certain level. You see them actually being lonely, yeah, because people don't know how to relate to them. So emotionally, for us as parents, we have to do a lot of guesswork. What are you feeling? What are you thinking? Yeah. Emotionally, you are left feeling sad sometimes because it's like, am I doing the best for her? Yeah. How do I make her life happier, better? We will do everything. You get her what she likes. Yeah. She loves gymnastics. She loves swimming. So you get her involved in places where she succeeds. Yeah. But you realize at the end of the day, if you do not go out of your way to get them into different pockets of groups of friends, they can be very lonely. And that makes us as parents really feel it.
Yeah.
So we need to take care of ourselves.
Right.
How do we take care of ourselves? Baba Tumaini will call and say, you know what, I'm going to the hub and chukua, you know, and go with her. You have time to yourself.
Right.
So it's very important for us as parents to also create time for ourselves. It's very important for us as parents to also have other things that we are doing, because we can actually be completely engrossed in these children.
Right.
So it's very important to know that I've gone to the shamba. I like planting, and involve the children in what we are doing also. Yeah? And involve ourselves in what they are doing also.
Yeah.
And enjoy it. Yeah? It's very important to have support groups. Yeah, have that psychosocial time where we are meeting as a group and we can sit and talk, laugh, grow, cry. Yeah, so having a group of parents, for example, we have like T21, we have the Down Syndrome Society. So if we have parents who understand the journey, you grow and you're able to express yourself. You're able to feel, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I'm not alone, actually. Okay. Yeah. And so we have the support groups. You have your hobbies or what you like doing, but it's very important to be able to take time and do what you like doing. And if you can involve the children, involve them. Traveling and all those things.
And allow me, Sally, to just throw in and just say, let's just to get practical. The thing that has really worked for me in my own journey is this thing we're calling parent support group. That thing has just worked wonders for me. I think that's the biggest thing I will urge parents to get on board with, because then that's the healing place. That's the place where you relate, you find people walking your same journey, you know, and that for me is what worked. I confess that my first year and a half, I was still in my own cocoon, still being a man about it, you know, taking care of my things, not wanting people to come into my space. But sooner or later I realized, you know what, I can't do this thing anymore. And I opened up, I cracked my door slightly open and just tried this thing called support group. I know it's not an African concept, and that's why it's an uphill. And that's why so many people, parents, are still stuck. Because we think, I mean, what is it? This is a Mzungu thing. This is not an African thing. Why go talk about your problems, you know? But once I stepped into that support group, that was it. That's the thing that I really needed, because I found people who are walking my same journey. I found stories in there that I could relate with. I found lessons. I found peers. You know, I found men. You know, and when I talk about men, so I'm also involved, apart from just advocacy. I'm also involved with men a lot. In this thing we call psychosocial support. So there's psychosocial support for parents. but then I take a route off there and then I just go after men, mostly because then I find that that's the place that makes the most impact, because again the setting is Africa, you know, and what most homes are run by who in Africa? By men. Honestly, statistics on the ground show that women are more empowered in this space. In the parents, the two parents, the mother is always more empowered than the man, because of that thing that I told you. We don't open up. We don't want to show our weakness. So the women always open up. They always go for these support groups. They always go for clinics. When they're in clinics, they're roped into the support groups, and they're empowered. But guess what? Then they cannot enact it at home. Because then at home, who is the Simba? You know, so who gives the green light? You know, and if I don't understand what you're talking about, I'll just shut it down. You know, so the men is a big focus when it comes to also social cycle support, and that is why clearly we find that there are more women in this space. Even in my advocacy, I find myself in the company of women, you know, and the sad part of it is, number one, not just because the men are also at home and just being African about it, it's also because then in this space, another big challenge that just hits us is, I think it should come with comorbidities. It's also our marriage, you know, because I mean, 80% of the men walk away, you know. That's a whole other topic, okay, but statistics just show 80% of men are not there, okay, and it's due to many factors. Stigma, again, the community, there wouldn't be stigma without the community, not being embraced. African setting is even worse for a parent, a man with a child with a special need. Okay, that's even worse because of the misconceptions and the myths, you know. So it's crazy. I'm trying to self-care. Stigma is hitting me. Myths are hitting me. There's nothing else I know. My parent, my brother, my friends are in this, are throwing these myths. My mom, you know. So it's crazy. So that's why self-care is very key, like she said. So we have to be very intentional about it. And what I just want to throw out as a last comment about self-care to men and to basically even parents is to realize that you'll always be scared about the thing you don't know, and that's why we're scared of the dark. All right, because you don't know what's lacking in the dark, you know. But if you had a clue, even if it's still a big thing and a scary thing, it won't be as scary. You'll have, if you knew what it was, then you'll have a roadmap, you know, to know what can I do, what can I not do about it. So the first thing is to open up, you know. Get to know what it is. Get to know, understand the condition of your child. Understand what is this thing that has come my way. And the more information you get, then that means you're feeding your mind with the correct information, with facts, with research, with proven things, okay? And when you do that, automatically you'll be smashing the myths, you'll be smashing the misconceptions, they will not be getting to you. Because, I mean, the brain is a funny thing. It never keeps a vacuum. So even if we decide, you know what, we're not going to find out what Down syndrome is, and I'm just going to stay at home and not find out, my friend, information will find you at home. Because you'll go to the mall and some guy will be talking next to your table and be like, wow, did you see that child? Those guys must be cursed. You know, that's information coming in. And your brain doesn't know, it just takes it in because there was a vacuum. So you refuse to put in the right info, so you'll get the wrong one. And that's how it works. So better just go for the correct info, which means just take that step. And then that'll cure so many things. It will cure the fear I had from the beginning, like I said, because I had no clue what Down syndrome was. But once I figured it out, then I had a roadmap. And I could choose the things I can do, and I could know the things I can't do. And then I don't waste my time trying to do the things I can't do. And you see, this also adds to the development of the child. Let me not steal this show. Thank you. Let's not take so much time with that self-care.
We are learning. I'm learning. So wow.
But I just want to add,
and Just let me just interrupt you on that one, because someone already actually stole the show, but in a good way. We're going to take a very short break again, a music break, but we'll be right back after this. The conversation is amazing, beautiful. Please take your pen and paper, notebook, write something down. You must learn. This is free consultancy, as I always say. So take advantage of this. We'll be right back after this break.
For more than 2 decades now, we have been on an impactful journey of keeping Jesus on the airwaves. We continue to reach thousands with the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ through Family TV and Family Radio. Lives have and continue to be transformed through programs from the world's best preachers.
God, if you do this for me, then I'll do this for you. It shows a weakness of faith. It shows inferiority.
It is only through the presence of God do we have then the power of God.
Insightful and thought-provoking conversations on our variety of local shows.
Unless you have educated your child on what are the risks, what are the dangers, how to keep yourself safe.
I'm praying, Lord, give me a heart for the kingdom.
The beauty about Christ is that he rewards you and affirms you, whether you do right or wrong.
When we don't talk about these issues, when we don't intervene, when we are not involved, then it means that we do not represent Christ.
When we're struggling, when we cannot feed our kids and, we cannot even raise money to take care of disabled people in hospitals, it's a shame.
Quality faith-based content for children.
This is what they begin to do. Now nothing that they propose to do will be withheld from them.
And the best of gospel music from Kenya, Africa, and the world.
Worthy is your name, Jesus.
Watch Family TV on GoTV, Star Times Channel 457, Zuku Channel 877, and on all free-to-air decoders Signal Pang Family TV. You can also watch and listen to all your favorite programs on the go through the Family Media app, available on the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store.
Welcome back to our Class Parenting Tuesday is Hot, right here with Eva and David. Eva, you wanted to say something just before that break?
I just wanted to add there, as you hear David speak, it has been a journey, but let's appreciate that daddies are Mr. Fix-It.
Yeah.
When they can't fix it, because that is their role. When they can't fix it, that's when they will walk. And daddies are not talking. They don't have people to speak to.
Yeah.
Because as David says, they're African men. So they can't fix it. They can't discuss it.
Yeah.
So they walk. And that's why they walk. So we need to appreciate that. Now, what David is doing, penetrating into the space of men, he has said it very well. Empower them. Let them understand, what is this? What does it mean to have a child with Down syndrome?
Yeah.
Yeah? And why? How does it happen? When a parent leaves a house with their child, when we walk out into that community, we've spoken about myths and misconceptions. Everybody has a reason why our children look like that. And everybody feels that they have the moral right to come and talk to you about why your child is like that. That's where the vacuum comes in. So if you don't feel that vacuum, you get a lot of free advice. You are even told how you need to pray for this child and the child will be fine, or somebody comes from nowhere, tells you about demon possession. This child is demon possessed. This child has been cursed. Ametupiwa hiyo macho mbaya. Appreciate that when a parent is walking out there with their child, the society already has made a judgment on that parent. And usually it's a negative judgment. Huyu mama alikuwa anakunywa pombe, alikuwa anavuta bangi, she was doing what? It is usually a negative judgment. cut across that barrier and tell people it's actually a syndrome. So that's what I wanted to add for David, as David was speaking.
And just still on the, that point of myths and misconceptions even, what are some of the biggest misconceptions, around Down syndrome?
Down syndrome, wow. First of all, the first one that usually comes out is that they're cursed. Witchcraft. Children are sacrifices. We've sacrificed our child so that you get wealth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So demon possessed. Yeah. They are different. Yeah. Another myth is
there's one that also stems in church, that God is punishing you.
Yeah.
And this is very concerning, because this is not, I'm just throwing this out. This is what I come across, because we are both in church circles.
Yeah.
And many of the parents say, I think God is punishing them.
You are being punished for having a child like this. So can you imagine you walking around with your child? And those are the things that are going on in people's minds. Another a funny one, this one is actually funny, is that the mother ate too many eggs when she was pregnant. So there are all kinds of things, isn't it? Yeah. Or you looked at a person who is disabled badly and had bad thoughts about that disabled person. So even you, when you're pregnant, you get a child with disabilities. You are punished by the society because of what they believe. You see? So there are very many myths there. So what we need to do is to create a lot of awareness. Demystify disability. Bring in facts, bring in figures. Bring in success stories. Bring in the fact that why don't we focus on their strengths? Let us see them dancing on TV. Let us see a newscaster with Down syndrome. Yes. Let us see. Why don't we see them in the army? Why don't we see them stopping all the matatus to get there, whatever? Why don't we see them?
And the one bullet that works for me when it comes to demystifying all this is what Eva just said when we began, when she was explaining what Down syndrome is. And it's a genetic condition. That's what it is. That's just one of the eye-openers that just crushes all these other things. And guess what also follows? You know what? 10% of any population anywhere are persons with Down syndrome.
It's actually gone up.
Imagine. We're just being nini about it, right? But 10% is the least in any population. So guess what? It's not just you. So how many people ate? How many eggs were those that were eaten?
How many disabled?
How many disabled? All the so these are just things. If you just found out about them, it's genetic. You can't do anything about it. And if you knew that, who will come there with those stories? Really?
And it's also important to mention something that a lot of times we don't even want to go there. But who created us? Who made those babies in their mother's wombs? And we are told that God knew. And He's the one who did it. And we know that God does not make any mistakes. And there's a reason. There is a reason why God has given us those children, and there's a reason why He made them. And a lot of times parents will wonder, why me, why me, why me? And we always say, why not you? Because nobody is given a photo album when they're expecting or when they're planning their pregnancy, and they're asked, which one do you want? Do you want this one, this one, this one, this one? No.
Very true.
We get pregnant, and the baby that comes out of us was made by God.
Absolutely.
So there are times when we need to actually celebrate that. These children didn't come from the devil.
Right.
The devil does not have that kind of power. These children have come from God, and it's God who's made them. And He's the one who's made everybody. We are all children of God. God doesn't have nieces and nephews and grandchildren and what have you, grandfathers. We're all children. And we've all come from the same place that He made Adam and Eve in His own image. So sometimes it's important to hold on to that, because when He gave us these children, He also gave us everything we need to be able to ensure that these children live the life that God wants them to live.
Wow.
Yes.
So that is quite important that you mentioned. And also probably let's get into technology. David, what is the role when you look at technology? Has it supported your child's learning and development in any way? The apps, the tools, anything that you've been able to put in use?
Yes, that's a nice one. That's a nice one for the times that we're living in.
Yeah.
It's just sad that we are always lagging behind just by virtue of where we are as a continent. So I try looking out of the continent to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Because I mean, anyone in IT is looking out to see what's going on, then we catch on.
Yeah.
But to be practical, what has actually I've actually been able to lay my hands on are just simple things like just the phone. Which we always say it's from the devil. Like this phone and parenting, half the parents are praying against these phones, these smartphones, But for me, it's such a big blessing because, I can clearly tell you that my daughter is called Tumaini. So Tumaini is 15 years old, all right? Intellectual disabilities, what I told you, is one of the big things in Down syndrome. So she's 15 years old, but if you then try and rank her to the education curricula and academics, she's stuck at grade 2, struggling at grade 2, not even making it.
Yeah.
So that now just as a parent, that's very concerning. But again, as an empowered parent, I have come to accept that, if it's taken this long for her to get to grade 2, it doesn't make sense to keep doing the same thing. So she's going to be 30 when she's in grade 4. For what? She's 30, so what will grade 4 help her with? So I now need to shift my focus and just look for the things that will make a difference in her life. I just need her for the most basic of life skills. I need her to read. Not read novels.
Yeah.
Read important signs like stop. When she's crossing the road, like hot, like this thing is hot, don't touch, like danger, like electricity, these are the things that really changed me as a parent, because as a normal parent, as just any typical parent, I wouldn't think of those things. Who thinks about that? But I just want my child to know how to read the zebra crossing.
Rarely does it cross.
Have you ever But now when you're in this space, then you have no choice but to think. So those are the things I really wanted for Tumaini. When it comes to arithmetic, I don't need divisions. We're in grade 2. It's an uphill. I just need her to be able to read those numbers, translate those numbers, do simple addition and subtraction. When she goes to the shop, she knows how to get change. So when I come to technology, because this is what we are in, so I just need an app that first of all can help her read, because we're still struggling to read,
right?
And so if there's an app that can help her read for her, and you find that in the PDF, in Google Docs, So my task now is just to help her to know how to navigate and get any document on PDF, then just know how to read it out. That's number one. Okay, so that's a huge one for me.
Right.
It's not a big one. It looks like nothing. Who even appreciates that app anymore? But look at how it's changed the world for me, when it comes to even speaking and talking, it's the same thing. We have whatever text you can just speak and it just types for you. That's in the smartphone. So that's really working for me. But again, now when you look at the bigger picture, what do we want? What is the ideal? What do I pray for? I pray for apps that will make her life really easy. And she, even something like she wouldn't have to work with the phone. Maybe just have a gadget where she can just wear it on her hand. And it can then just assist her in her daily life. So that again, she's trying to include, it's inclusion. So again, I don't want her to be highlighting. She has to stop, take pictures, but the latest one that I think that would really make a big difference, which I've researched on, is I've heard there's a pen that can actually read for you.
Wow.
Like it just scans the words on any text. So that's not just on PDF, because are you going to take a sign off and put it on PDF and read it? So such gadgets just make you blend into society. So such things are what we wish they would get here. But the tech space is one space. I think I can easily say this is the best time if you were to get a child with a disability to live in. Because 15 years ago, I felt like I was in I was in the Stone Age. I was in the Stone Age for real. Even information was hard to come by.
Right.
So just simple things like those two things I've told you, they make a world of difference for me.
Wow. This is one of those shows I normally won't tell the director, please give me more time, just an hour more. You know, this is amazing, amazing, amazing. In fact, I don't know, time is not on our side, like less than 3 minutes. But I want, at least we speak to those parents out there. They could be overwhelmed, feeling, you know, the world is... They're carrying the world on their shoulders just because of this. Speak to them.
Yeah, I think a very important thing is to let the parents know, first of all, they're not the only ones. You're not the only one who has this child. Reach out to support groups, start talking, start talking about your feelings, start looking at what is going on, get empowered. And having a child with Down syndrome is not the end of the world. These are beautiful children, very loving children. I mean, they are innocent and they are full of joy. We need to allow them to be like that. But first, the parent has to accept. Acceptance is hard, but once acceptance comes through, it is very easy to be able to work with these children. The next thing is that inclusion is not a privilege. It is a right. It's a human right. So for you and me, we must make sure that we are honoring the rights of persons with Down syndrome by embracing diversity.
Fantastic. David, even as we wrap up, probably your parting shot when it comes to anything you want to say on policy, maybe, you know, very briefly.
Yeah, I was getting a bit worried that the time is up and even throw it even one.
There you go.
So let that be my parting shot. So even on the line of just parents, speaking to parents, we're the biggest stakeholders. Okay. So we need to be empowered. We need to do these self-care things so that when we're empowered, we can know what government is doing for us. And what sits on the government's laps is something called policy. That's what is directly sits with them, and no one else can do anything about it. So just to know our part in it as parents, we need to be informed. We need to know what's happening. Like right now, just very quickly, I can tell you, there's a bill that was passed just in January. It's called the Persons with Disabilities Bill. It's actually Bill number 7 of 2023. And I mean, it goes to address so many things. And one of the biggest animals we've had, I think parents identify with this, is an animal called the National Council of Persons with Disabilities. This is a cooperation, you know, so it is enacted. And a lot of mismanagement has been going on. So that bill goes to address some of the structures, to look into them, to align it. And it's also going to look at things that were loose ends. Okay, there is something called a bill that also passed that is a Kenya Sign Language bill. I'm sure even no one even hears about it. It's looking to mainstream Kenya Sign Language, that's in accessibility, and also look to bring it to education and now make it mandatory for sign language to be part of the education. Did you know that Kenya has 3 national languages? And the third one is Kenya Sign Language. But no one talks about it. So that bill is going to push that and say the Constitution says this, so we need to do this. So it's a good one. Learners with Disabilities Act also went through. She's talking about ACD. We've talked a lot about inclusion in schools. It's always a big fight everywhere, you know. And so that bill also goes now to tighten and make people accountable. You're the one who's supposed to do this because there's still loopholes, you know, to make things much better. So as parents, if we're in the know of these things, and they can only be pushed when people give their comments and they vote for them, you know, and so parents need to know what's going on. So policy is a big change. We cannot just sit at home and then just say, oh, government. We need empowered parents to do this. So policy is a big change. We can't live without it. Like we always say, whether you like politics or you don't, it will affect you. It will affect you, and people will make the wrong regulations, the wrong things for you. So we need to get involved. So policy is a big thing. Though the one thing that I would wish, this is a dream for me in terms of policy, is a huge gap when it comes to transition of older children when we talk about ECD, and we see a lot of work going into that early stage.
Yeah.
But these kids are growing. My daughter is 15, and I'm feeling left out because now the road has ended, and I'm just in the air, and there's nothing to transit into.
Okay.
So I wish there was a policy that will then enforce and make government to address that, because then we are left hanging right now, and we don't know where to go with that.
Okay.
So that's a place where I feel policy has also is blindsided.
Okay.
And so I can just throw that out.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. I'm sure someone somewhere will see this,
hope
definitely,
so.
and by God's grace,
Yeah.
something will be done. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for the, oh my God, this is amazing. I think we can have a part 2 of this. This is awesome. Yeah, good job, guys. Keep it there. And I love how you've even named your children Tumaini, Malaika. Oh, awesome.
Things parents are forced to change into.
Baba Tumaini, thank you so much, Mama Malaika. Asante
Asante.
sana. God bless you. We appreciate this. And of course, to you, our viewer and listener, wherever you are joining us from, Asante sana for your engagements. Thank you very much for just being part of this conversation. And it is our prayer that this morning you've been able to learn 1 or 2 things about Down syndrome. And also to a special group of people, a community called our partners. I want to say thank you very, very much for supporting us, for working with us for the last 25 years. Without you, we'd not be able to do this. And if you want to be part of this community, then all you need to do is just to send the word partner to 20316 or partner to 0786316316, which is our WhatsApp line. And if you want to also send your support or support us in any way, do that on paybill number 316, and the account number shall be your telephone number. God bless you and keep you. See you again another time. Bye.